One of the guys you're talking to, he's a magician, or does he?
Nope. Nope, no magicians.
Let's go ahead and get started. We are here with Audrey. I'm Ken Duffy, and it's my daughter. We're just doing a quick chat here in the living room. Super casual, just wanted to talk about marriage, courtship, and growing up Reformed. So we're gonna have a pretty laid back conversation. It's not scripted or anything. We're gonna go through some questions. Basically, the point of this conversation is to talk with you. I'm hoping that you do most of the talking. Everyone hears plenty of me speak, right? But I want to talk with you about marriage and courtship and basically like what life has been like here, and want it to be open book, straightforward. Then we'll just kind of jump into it. You want to say hi or introduce yourself, or you're like, no, that's not a conversation. What are you talking about?
I'm Audrey. I'm the daughter.
Audrey, the daughter. Audrey, how old are you?
I am 18.
18. And you care sharing a little bit about yourself? I know a ton, having been your father for 18 years now. But you want to talk about a 30-second, who is Audrey?
Oof. There's not much to go with who is Audrey. I'm a say decently average person.
Yeah.
Can we cut this out?
No, that's a totally fine thing. Like I like that. So if you, no, it's totally good. I'm gonna put you on the spot a number of times, so you feeling a little awkward sometimes. It's cool, but again, I'm going to try to stay pretty relaxed here. But let's see if I were to put myself on the spot with who Audrey is. It's easier for other people to talk about it, someone else, right? Mm-hmm. So my daughter, she is a female version of her dad. So I am I'm a bold speaker. I speak the truth. I don't mince words. I would say you follow suit a lot with that. So you speak your mind. You're not afraid to share your opinion, but you do care about people's feelings. I've noticed that about you. You don't want to hurt people. So like one of the areas where I would struggle with, so to speak, if it were a struggle, is I favor the truth over people's feelings, if that's an appropriate way to put it. Where if I would say, well, will you land kind of in the middle of like, well, you're not going to compromise truth, but you're going to think harder than I would about how it's going to land on people's hearts, right? Yeah. Does it seem like a fair assumption? Accurate. So Audrey's the oldest of how many?
A lot. 4.
A lot.
I'm the oldest of 5.
Oldest of 5 kids. And that's another thing. You're very motherly. You're learning how to be a mom in a home. Where are you at school-wise?
We're keeping it casual, but I think we're doing pretty good with school.
Yeah.
I help my little brother.
Yeah.
And we all do lots of Bible reading in the morning, talk about that, and we just kind of see how the day goes.
Right. So you're homeschooled.
Yeah.
We've homeschooled for how long?
18 years.
18 awesome years, right? I wouldn't change a thing about that. So not getting off topic, but Audrey's been homeschooled for 18 years. All of our kids homeschooled. I was public schooled, so I know what both are like. Your mom was in a Christian school, so we have a lot of diversity and understanding of the different types of upbringings. But as with you and our children, we raised you guys in the home, educating you in the home out of conviction, strong conviction that we maintained, and today wouldn't think twice about it. It's been as far as like whether or not we would have done it. Like it is an incredible journey that we've been through. I loved having all of you guys home, and I think as we'll get into in this kind of chat is we've seen a lot of good fruit from it. To kind of keep us on topic, because I could monologue a lot, but the premise today is that we're talking about what it's like for an 18-year-old Christian woman to prepare for marriage in a Reformed household. So that's kind of going to be the context of the conversation, and again we're just hanging out and going to do this as casual as possible. First up, I want to kind of talk to you about your experience. Like what was it like? What was it like being raised to think about, like, how were you taught about marriage and family? We'll start off with that, because to preload that question a little bit, like everyone acknowledges, like we all have our assumptions of life, you know, and one of the reasons we homeschool is like we want to teach you the values, but I want to hear you speak about your understanding of marriage and family and what you were raised to believe about it, and that you do what you do believe.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Marriage and family. What I think it should look like and be is you have your head of the home, your husband, the father, who would lead, guide, and protect you, and everything he says goes. The wife, I honestly and truly believe, and like that a wife should be at home with her children, and her job is to take care of her husband and her home, and to be at home with the children. I think everything should be obviously around what the Bible says a marriage should look like, and it does say that. I think, and homeschooling, obviously.
Yeah. What's your views on dating? Let's work that out a little bit. So this is like a big highlight of this dialogue. What's dating all about, and what's your understanding of it, and how do we handle that here, so to speak?
So this day and age, dating is, I think, just let me
work that out a little bit. I'm curious what was behind that expression.
I think it is honestly just an excuse to do things that normal teenagers shouldn't be doing. It's a way to move, like, just do things really not biblically, but try to, but she's my girlfriend, so I can go kiss and
there you go.
and make out and stuff because she's my girlfriend. Like,
wonder what you're getting at.
It's just not serious enough, and it lasts too long, and I think there's so much more heartache in it than need be.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's the right way to do things.
Yeah. Where did that come from? Like,
I mean, that is how I've been raised to believe, but
So we brought you up with the understanding of, like, dating, as, and another way to put it, is a way to act married. Right. Yeah. But you're not. Mm-hmm. So it's basically like covenant unfaithfulness. So it's one of the ways that I've kind of modeled it in my mind, and that we've taught you, is like, your husband's out there. Like, if God has planned and purposed for you to be married, your husband's out there. Mm-hmm. Probably right now, unless you're going to marry a really young guy. But he's out there right now, and the idea of faithfulness. And again, this isn't just like a nuanced idea that we're kind of diving into a weird, like, niche area of theology. Like your husband's out there. You're supposed to be faithful to him, and you're faithful, and even before you find him, before you're married. And the idea, like if you think through what dating is, you're, like you said, you're doing things that you're not supposed to. You come together with someone you're not married to, and you're doing things that aren't what friends would do. You're pretending to be married. You're kissing, you're being romantic, you're sharing yourself with each other in ways that shouldn't. If you're talking about today, again, like one of the things that we've also talked about, like we don't hide you from the truths of the world. Like what's our youngest now? 8. Martin's 8. So we don't hide them from the realities of the world. We just protect them from the corruption of the world. So like we talked about sex plenty, and we know that with people dating, like that's a common thing, even especially for 18, 17. I've heard some crazy things, like when from a consensual standpoint, even like there are young girls and boys, you're talking like 14, 15, that are sexually active today. Those are the types of things that if you take it all the way to the end, you could talk about kissing or holding hands or whatever it is, but it really encompasses the whole thing. And there's a lot of unfaithfulness when it comes to these types of activities before marriage. But unwrapping that a little bit more, what does that mean to you? Like from a value standpoint. So like when you say, well, I don't want to pretend to be married before I'm married, like what kind of value does that have to you, or how would you describe that? What does it mean to you to not pretend to be married with somebody that you're not married to?
I think it would just mean that I would just feel more comfortable. I would know it's a good feeling to know you're doing things the right way, that I'd have friends, and that I'm not going to get hurt in the end. I'm not going to be all acting like I'm married to some guy and then he'd be like, I'm going to break up with you or whatever. So I think that alone is a great reason to protect your heart a little bit, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Actually, it's a good segue into a couple of the next questions that I wanted to talk with you about. So like, I want to talk about benefits and challenges, but like, let's first talk about some of the benefits that you've seen personally from the approach. So really look at like the good and bad. And I say bad, I wouldn't say bad, I say challenges, the difficulties. But let's start with the benefits. So like from this way of doing things, as far as like, we don't date in this house. You're gonna seek out a husband to marry without dating. What good or benefit does that have for you as an 18-year-old girl who most of your peers, right, your friends would be out in the dating scene. They would have experienced what dating's like. I've had multiple boyfriends. Your male friends have girlfriends. Like, they would have experienced that. What's the benefit for you having not been a part of that today in your whole life?
Well, as I keep saying, no, okay, hold on. One of them would be I would never be put into awkward or uncomfortable positions that I think a lot of people would be. I feel like you're getting to know more people. You're not just with this one person. We do things in a group setting, so I'm getting to know lots of people. I'm making lots of friends because I'm not just together with this one person all the time. I spend lots of time with all of my friends because of this. Another thing, like I've mentioned before, in the long run, I'm not going to get hurt because I wouldn't be emotionally involved, so deeply involved with somebody. I'm not going to get crushed in the end and fall into depression and, oh, he doesn't love me, or all that fun drama that comes with dating. I wouldn't have to deal with that.
So you're saving yourself from a lot of hurt,
Yeah.
and chaos that the dating world brings.
Yeah.
If I were to hear you and summarize that,
Yeah.
right? Okay. And what would you say from the flip side? And don't make anything up if you can't think of something off the bat, but like, what challenges have you experienced not dating? So you're 18 years old, you don't date, you've never had a boyfriend, social expectations, like peer pressure, friendships, any complications, like what issues or challenges have been because of this?
Well, I get asked a lot, especially when I meet new people, if I'm dating anyone. And when I say no, they usually ask why. And when I give my explanation, I kind of get the, really? That's a little odd. And I don't think I have met, no, I have not. I have not met a friend who totally agreed with me on what I was doing and didn't think I was crazy for what I wanted to do. And then there's the like kind of awkward part when there's obviously going to be guys that I like you said, that they'll be dating and I'll be asked out and I'll have to say no and I'll have to explain why, and it brings us right back to the first thing I said. They're like, okay, and friendships kind of fall apart sometimes. So
Yeah, tell me about the weird reception from people. So you're 18 years old. We've lived in several different states now, right? Mm-hmm. So you've had many different friends, many different surroundings, and you said you haven't met anybody who, did you say supports your view or knows your view or both? Like what do you say?
They don't totally support it.
So you haven't met anyone that's like, oh, that's a good and righteous thing to be doing. Mm-hmm. So no one said that in your friendships.
Not that I'm remembering. No.
So,
I haven't had too many friends, but the friends I have had.
So the friends you've had, you haven't had that. Like, can you talk about that a little bit more? So, and I don't know what I'm aiming at here, but like, if you could, what does that look like when your friends don't support the idea, which we argue as believers here is the way to be faithful as Christians? So it's not like, hey, we decided not to date in our family. It's like, no, I upheld this way of life because of biblical convictions. Like, I think dating isn't in the Bible. I think it's unfaithful. You're basically cheating on your spouse. You're doing things that you ought not do. You face friendships, and all of them, from one degree or another, have been like, you're crazy, or that's weird. What is that like? Like, what types of conversations do you have about that? Because that's intriguing to me, that all of the people that you know and have known, that this is so foreign.
Yeah. If I'm being totally honest, most of them I kind of just explain my side, and I hold firm to it, and I make it known that they're not changing my mind, and that's not what I want. There have been a few friends that we debate back and forth. I'm not very good at debating, and these friends are smart, so I'm like I said, we argue about it, and I think I've brought up some good points, and they see me on some of it, but they just think that for 18 I'm moving too fast, and that it's too young. I was told my brain wasn't fully developed, so
you shouldn't get married.
Right, apparently. Yeah. So those are just some of the things they said, and I kind of nod to some of them, just kind of like shrugging it off, like, oh, okay, and then kind of just move on. I haven't had too deep of a conversation with them, just because it annoys me a little bit.
What annoys you about it?
That everyone's so just standoffish about it. Like, I don't think it's that crazy. Like, it wasn't too long ago where it was odd for a woman not to be married by her 20s. Like,
right.
And I think the day and age have just changed so much. Now it's like people are waiting till they're 30 or 40, and I just think it's crazy. Or age differences, like people are putting a huge 7 years apart or 10 years apart. Like, think
Oh,
people.
you're saying like people expect that, oh, you're 18, you should marry an 18 or 19-year
Right.
old,
Yeah.
or if you're 25, like what's the threshold there? You shouldn't maybe if you're a little older, you could have a slightly bigger gap of age because people don't think it's as
Right.
strange.
Yeah.
Well, what's your thought there? So like you have, you're 18 years old. Like we haven't talked about like age requirements or restrictions like that. Like do you from your like a preference standpoint? We're going to get into actually it's one of our next discussions about your. Actually, we could jump right into that. So the next thing I was going to talk to you about is like your vision for marriage. So your desires for a spouse. So floor is yours. Like you could get into the details, or you could stay super general about categories. But you're on the market for a husband, right? You want to get married. That's why we're talking about this. Like it's not even like we're talking about marriage, and in a few years we'll talk more. Like you're ready to get married, right? And what are you looking for? Like what's your hope in a husband? What's your vision for what like the overarching look of your marriage is going to be?
It's pretty straightforward, I think, and I think I mentioned it earlier. I want a husband who is strong in his faith. I want a mature husband who's mature in his faith. I want to know that I can trust him because I'm going to be listening to him and following his lead. So I want to know that I can trust anything that he says. I want someone who can lead me. I want someone who takes a natural head and knows that he's in charge. I want a strong man. I want someone who agrees with me on me being home. I want someone who's okay with me staying at home and caring for this home and homeschooling our children, keeping them at home. That's it. It's pretty straightforward.
So like an overview
Yeah,
picture. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of
which
sense.
is hard to find today.
Get into that. That's a great point too. What do you mean? It's hard to find. You said it's hard to find today.
You can't find men today that are ready. Like it's kind of crazy. You here we go into the age thing again, but like I feel like this day and age, most people before their 30s aren't structured in their life. They don't care enough to have like, they don't have drive, they don't have passion, they're just I'm just gonna stay at home, or I'm just gonna work at Fred Meyer or something. Like they don't have drive, and I need someone with drive that wants someone who's ambitious and ready. So
your experience, would you say in the recent years or your whole life, you say they're not out there? What would you say?
Probably more within the recent years, but I'm also older and seeing it more, realizing it.
So now that your eyes are kind of a little more fixed on marriage and like, hey, I'm 18, hey, I'm thinking about, you've been maybe more aware of the types of character of men out there, or what you're saying would be better described as boys who want to push their adolescence into adulthood and stay in their parents' basements and playing video games and caring about things that kind of don't matter in life. Whereas your expectations, would it be right? I mean, do you expect 18 to 20-year-olds, 18 to 22-year-olds, or 17-ish, that age range? Do you think a 19-year-old should be in a career, know what he's pursuing, ready to get married and wanting to get married? Or do you think you're early? Or like, where are you at with your understanding of what should these men out there in your age range, but let's push it out into their 20s. Like you're saying you're not seeing it even through late 20s in a lot of people. What's your understanding there of how young should a man be ready for marriage? That's a simple question.
I guess it really does depend on the man, but I think you should at least know somewhat what you want to do and start pursuing that by 18. And if by like 20 and 22, I think you should definitely know what you're doing, and if not, even have a career by then.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I think, and I know it's coming from a woman. Like I might have high expectations for these men, and it's different coming from me. But I just think that's how they should deal with that.
Yeah. Folding into that a little bit, what kind of traits? What kind of traits you looking for in a man? Like think like theology, maturity, his vocation, like his job. You mentioned things about leadership and whatnot, but we covered this a bit. But if you were to start talking about the traits, like theology, what beliefs would he have? What structure would he have in your home? What would you hope for?
Well, one of the strong beliefs I have that I don't see very many people have is that a lot of people disagree on it, but that we were chosen before the foundations of the earth. That is I think that's a big one. I believe that whoever goes to heaven was chosen, whether or not they accept God into their heart. I think that's a big one that he would need to believe in order for things to work. As of traits and stuff, like you said, I mentioned it earlier, I just want someone who can lead and is strong. And I'm sure there's more on the theology part that I just am not thinking of right now.
No, that's fine. What kind of job, career do you want your husband? Like, it could be a preference thing, or do you have a conviction over like what men ought to do, or both?
I don't really have a conviction on what he wants to do. I just think that whatever he does do, he can support a family. Like I don't want to be worried about our paycheck next week. Am I going to get this food? Are we going to be late on our electrical bill? I just need someone who can provide for me, and I don't have to worry.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what excites you about marriage. So I will come out saying like I haven't been pushing you to get married, right? So like this has been something that's been on your heart. Roughly how many years would you say like marriage came into your head? I mean, I know girls I'll talk about, or they think about marriage early on, the dresses and the romance of it, but like real marriage talk, like our thoughts or desires. What would you say?
I really started desiring marriage probably around 15.
Okay, so around
14,
15, you're really thinking
I
of
really,
marriage,
I was
and
ready.
it just grew stronger.
Yeah.
Did it come and go?
It slowly grew. The older I got, the more I wanted it because it was closer to the possibility of it.
Okay, and what excites you about it? So since 15, this has really gotten into your head, like marriage. I want a husband. Like what's been really amping you up about
I live
it?
in a big family, and I do lots with my siblings, and there has been times where I've been put in positions where I feel like a mom, like if I'm left home with the kids, and I love the feeling of being the mom. It might sound weird, but I love cleaning a messy house and helping my brother with a word or something, and I don't always have a good attitude, I would say, about it, but even come down to like cooking for them, like they're coming into the kitchen, what's going on, Audrey, what are you making? But I just picture that as, Mom, what are you making? So I'm excited for the kid part. And then but I'm also excited for just the two of us for the first little bit. I'm excited to take care of someone, to have a purpose, to do, like I want to do something. I want to nurture. Is that a good word?
Yeah.
I want to nurture for someone, and I think
Okay.
having a husband would do that. I want to welcome him home from work and all those little things.
Yeah. Simple but really awesome, right? So you're finding a lot of value in the small details of daily life that you want as like your normative life. So you're seeing as a sister how that can apply once you have your own kids and stuff. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What kind of fears do you have? So on the other side of that, so like you're 18, you've been raised here, like you're taken care of here. If something happens, you come to dad and he takes care of everything. Like any kind of fears about, man, like let's say you meet Mr. Perfect tomorrow. We can be found at area code 5. No. You meet Mr. Perfect tomorrow, and let's say you guys hit it off. 6 months from now, you're married. Like, you scared? Are you excited? Are you both? Like,
I think
what does that look like for you?
I would be a little nervous, especially if it happened within 6 months. It's all moving a little fast, but that's great. And I think I would be mainly excited. If I had to choose something that I would be nervous about, it would be kind of more towards the future. When it comes down to like homeschooling, I'd worry that I don't even have kids yet. I'm already worrying that I wouldn't be doing enough. But that would just come down to the time. And I think I don't think I have very many fears. That might be naive of me maybe, but it's all excitement right now.
Yeah, it's great. From an idea of that could happen in 6 months, right? Like, who knows? What have you taken as your approach to marriage, and what would you recommend for other people? So you could focus on women since you're more familiar, or you could give recommendations for men and women, or just your personal experiences. But like as far as preparing for marriage, like what would you say you've learned or prepared for yourself, or recommendations for others?
Well, if you're looking to get married and you're kind of ready, I definitely think, and I have a head start in this because of the way I was raised, but you need to know how to handle a home for the women. You need to know how to cook a meatloaf, and you need to know how to keep a house clean, and you need to know how to keep people calm and the house calm. And for men, it's like what I was saying earlier. Passion and drive is so important, I think. And strength, it's just you don't see enough of it, and that's what you need to have to start something like this. And I think that's really the recommendations I would give.
Yeah. And when it comes to like family involvement, going to touch a sore spot probably a little bit here. You don't have to get too into it, but so like family, accountability, and church community. So like, what level of importance is there for you, and what level of importance do you think there is for your future family? We'll put it in that
Like
perspective.
relationships?
Yeah. So the people that, relationships, friends and family.
I think friends and family is very important to me. I'm very close with my family, and I don't want anything to hinder that or take me away from that. A church family, I think that's obviously important. I haven't had much of that, unfortunately. I'd say it's a very important part of life, though, and I can't wait for the day that I do find that church family to be a part of. But yeah, it's all very important to me.
Yeah, it comes down to accountability too. When it comes to the complications of marriage, I think that's something that I've been really grateful for, and the upbringing for your guys' life is showing what to expect by not shielding you even from the experience of marriage in the house. And by that I mean, like, we live as mom and dad, like your parents, me and your mother, very plainly. Like, if things are going wonderfully, things are going wonderfully. Like, and then when we have a fight, in most houses, I would imagine, like, fights are very transparent. But then most houses, I think, like, unfortunately, like, the making up part, the coming back together and restoring is unfortunately hidden a lot. Like, how did you get there? But I think, and mention if you see something otherwise, but we've when we fight, it's plain. You know what we're arguing about. You see the hurt. You see the struggle that it brings on a home. But we also make it a point to work through those things plainly, to see if we need to argue through something, if there's issues, like, we're transparent about that. You see how we get there is basically what I'm getting at, so that when it comes to you in marriage, you are now equipped. Like, you can see, like, man, this caused pain in our home. This caused a disagreement between mom and dad, and this is what happened. And this is after the hurt, pain, and separation. And I don't mean like marriage, but like the separation and relation, the hurt and pain division. This is how they got back together. You've experienced that, right? And would you say that's an accurate description of how we live? You want to get into that at all, about how that's been for you, is experiencing that, and if it will help, hurt, or is it neutral for you as far as when you get married, what you're going to expect?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's all right. I do witness lots of that. I think it would help for my future fights, if I have those. But I probably won't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't imagine that.
Conflict-free marriage, right?
No, I've seen my mom work through things, and I've seen the way both of you apologize to each other if one of you are in the wrong, and it is encouraging to watch that. Yeah, I do think it's going to help me in the future. Like you said, I don't think many kids see that, and it is important to see that. I don't want to go into a marriage thinking everything's going to be butterflies and rainbows, and like, whoa, wait, why are we fighting? And like you said, I'm going to kind of know how to handle it, and know how to react a little bit.
Yeah. Those experiences are important. We could go into so many, but maybe if we do a follow-up to this, we'll talk about those types of things maybe in more depth, because I think there's a lot of rabbit holes we can go to. But those experiences are important, and you touched on a few of the ideas of what it is to be looking for a spouse. Actually, I guess I'll go ahead and plug one of those people, or what is it, a company? I'll go with a company. It's Help Meet Singles. I guess it was a rebrand. I like Dominion better, but the purpose is still there. It is probably the most faithful dating site, Christian dating site that I've found ever. And we're talking about like things that are abnormal in the world. What's abnormal is to see proper Christian courting. Like, you just don't see it. These folks, a group of good guys, good pastors, had a heart for these types of things. Similar sentiment as you're talking about, and we're talking about here, is like, where are all the Christians that are walking the walk and not just talking it? Like, where are the ones that love the Lord and are living faithful lives and that are seeking the things that are good and righteous? In your experience, you look out and like, where are they? Like, it's just not common, right? But so you've been on this site now, Help Meet Singles. Give me a little feedback, because pretty fresh on this site when it comes to poking around deeper and talking with folks, right? So it's not something that you got a lot of grease in the wheels with, but give me a little bit about what your experience has been like Has it been helpful? Has it been discouraging? Has it revealed anything to you? Have you met good Reformed folks when it comes to other believing men? Give me the gamut, like the full gamut. What your experience has been like?
Well, it hasn't been too long, but as of now, I'm talking to a few people, and something I've noticed is that you get right down to the point. There are no little questions. There's no small little chat. Like, what is my favorite part is you're on there and you're getting to know each other deeply. Like, you're not starting off, like I said, what's your favorite color? You're asking, what do you believe in? Do you agree with this? I ask, what's your stance on women working outside the home? That's like my first question I ask anyone. And I do think that these men on this app are looking for a wife, and most of them, I believe, are going to be ready. Like I keep saying, what I'm looking for, I feel and hope that they're going to have a career already set. That they've got their main majority of life. They're looking for a wife now. So, and it's a lot easier for me because I don't want to wait a whole long while. I'm kind of ready now, as I've been saying.
Yeah.
And these guys on here are ready, and it helps when I know that.
Okay.
Which is a great thing about the app.
That's one of the things I was curious about. Like, were you going to run into people be like, I know the idea of courtship or whatever you want to describe it as, like the idea of being faithful to when you come together. The idea is to get to know each other, to get married, if your values are in line. And I was wondering, man, like, is this going to be one of those like new dating sites where people jump on and do the Christian dating where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to court, and then courting looks like dating, and we do the same thing. Like, have you run into people that seem like they just want to date, or are you so far running into people like, no, they all seem like they're looking for spouses? As
of now, it seems like they're all looking for spouses.
Yeah. Has anything been discouraging so far?
With the app? No, nothing has been discouraging with the app yet. I mean, not the app itself, but the fact that I had to get on the app.
Okay.
That's the only.
Talk about that a little bit. So you're like, I had to sign up for this website to help me find a husband.
Yeah, there might be because of where we live, but we don't have any good churches or a strong community, and it's just so hard to meet people now. And I was reluctant at first to get onto it, but I was like, I'm just going to do it. Like, why not? We'll see what the Lord does. Like, and stuff is happening.
So you're meeting people is
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah.
What was your reluctance? You didn't want to do it. Like,
well, at first it was kind of the teeny bopper thing. I wanted the butterflies around the guy. I wanted to hang out. I wanted the brush on the hand or something like that. I've been told by many people to be careful with dating apps because there's just so many creeps out there that fake profiles. I'm still being told that. But I thought I'd kind of risk it and see what happens, and kind of glad I did. Curious to see what happens going forward with it.
So, as far as your experience now, you've had several conversations. They seem to be going well for the most part. Even if, like, are you learning, like, hey, these are the types of guys that I'm more intrigued with, and these are the types of guys, like, through conversation where I'm like, no, definitely not marriage material, or where are you at with that? What's that experience been like for you?
I might be getting to that with some of them. They're wonderful, wonderful guys, but some of them, I'm not going to name names or anything, but they have slightly different views on women working with the home and outside the home, and we've talked a little bit about it, and I can't, there's nothing wrong with what he was saying. I'm not going to quote anything, but I just don't totally agree with it. And then there's one more who agrees with me, I think, in the most part with what I'm saying. So there's really a mix of it. I haven't I haven't talked to like a whole bunch of people, but
So just being plain with these people, you've been able to engage with them and be like, hey, what's your view here? And I'm looking to be a housewife, and I wanna work at home.
yep,
Like,
that's exactly
don't
how it
send me
goes.
away.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
And you're able to work through all the mess, so to speak, and get right to it and find the people that line up with your convictions.
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully your experience continues like that. I always liked the idea, and as a wannabe entrepreneur, I always thought of like the idea of creating something like that for the parents, so like we can talk with each other and learn about each other's desires for their children, which, as you've expressed, they're in line with me, right? Like you believe
Yeah.
and like wholeheartedly want the things that we're talking about, right? Like I know there's a lot of criticism. Yeah, I would say there's a good amount of criticism about the idea of indoctrination, the idea of bringing people up, which again is what Christian homes are supposed to be built for. Like I'm supposed to like instill the values from Scripture in your life. Like what is it to be a faithful woman? What is it to pursue after God in holiness and righteousness? So I know there's a lot of critiques about that, but that's the aim. But raising you like that, you wholeheartedly believe those things, right? As you're sitting across from me right now, like is it your desire, the things that you've been expressing, like wholeheartedly?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's been one of the blessings of homeschooling too. Is like those things have been natural in the home. Like we've talked through things as you've encountered through different life experiences, and you've learned scripturally. Like I was even looking through a couple of these passages when it comes to like, well, what are we supposed to pursue, and what is it to be a wife, and like I look at the Proverbs, and Proverbs 31's a big one, right? And in verse 10 it says, an excellent wife who can find. She's far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. All right, and then you got beautiful passages like that guide the home from Titus. So these pastoral epistles, it's older women. So he's exhorting the older women that likewise are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers or slaves of much wine. They're to teach what is good and to train the young women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled, pure, working at home, kind and submissive to their own husbands, that the word of God may not be reviled. I know you've mentioned that. I don't want to spend a ton of time there, but this is unfortunate that it's another, like, in our feminist culture today, even in the churches, like what do we see? We see this egalitarian, this idea that women are the same as men, and we wholeheartedly reject that. Like women are not men, men are not women, and they are not equal. And then unfortunately today you have to qualify that so people understand you're not being sexist. It's like, well, what do you mean a woman's not equal to a man or a man's not equal to a woman? It's like, well, we're made with different purposes. So you've spoken about headship. We see in Titus it talks about submission to your husband. We acknowledge, because it's God's word, that is good and righteous and holy, and that's what we pursue. So what does that mean for you as an 18-year-old girl? You're looking to get married, and do you have in your mind, well, I'm going to get married and submit to my husband? How does that feel to you, and what are your reflections on it?
To me, I feel like submitting, I would feel protected. I think that's the right word. I have never, and I don't agree with any woman who thinks she has much, if any, authority in her home, especially with her husband. And I feel that me submitting to my husband, I'm going to be put in a spot of just, well, like I said, protection. I can trust him. He's going to guide me. He's not going to let me make wrong decisions, hopefully, because if I find the right one. But yeah.
Yeah. So when you hear submission, you equate that with protection.
Yeah.
So you're seeing, I'm gonna have somebody who is my head, who is going to look out for me and to care for me, to love me, to guide me, and to teach me, and what are some things that we've tried to model in the home, right? You have a domain that is prosperous and protecting. Like when you come into your home, and hopefully like when you transplant to your new home, like you have that same homey feel, like it's a protective place. Like you're safe here. This is your domain. Like you know that right now, as your dad, that I'm here as the protector and the head of the home. And when you get married, it will be similar to that, but you will now like be married to that person who is charged with that. Right now, it's your dad, it's me, but that shouldn't look much different, right? Like obviously, the relationship will be quite different. It'll be your husband instead of a dad, but the context of the home, the feel of the home will, and I pray for you, and I'm sure you do too. Like will look like almost the same.
Yes.
It'll carry the same characteristics of the types of things we want to see in our home. I'm trying to think of yeah, I was going to go down a rabbit trail. I probably won't. I think you have any idea how long we've been talking now?
Probably a while.
Probably a while.
I'm hungry.
You know, it's funny because I think when we were talking about doing this little sit down, I think I was shooting for like 20 or 30 minutes. I think we've passed that by now, right?
I think so.
So I was going to go down a rabbit trail of a couple other things to talk about. Man, I wanted to get into a little bit more passages, but again, I think we've covered some really important topics, and I don't want to fill up all of the storage on my camera. You want to add anything else? So like we've covered a lot, and I'm trying to think if we did have a second or follow-up conversation, what types of things do you think would be valuable still talking about? Like, is there other stuff on your mind that's like, oh, we didn't talk about this at all, or this would be good to think through, or this passage is really applicable here? Anything we could follow up with, or questions that people can shoot your way?
I don't think so. I think we briefly covered a really good amount of what needed to be talked about.
Yeah. I haven't thought through this, but like my blog, my writings, I am very easy to find. This is going to be published on my website. I'm not going to give your contact information out, obviously, because we won't get into that either. I am easy to reach. If people have questions for Audrey, I would assume you'd be all right with this. If they come through my website, reach out to me, I'll forward them to you and either connect you with people. So say if there are other young women out there that like what they've heard talking about you and they want to talk with you more, or if they have questions about maybe they're like most of your friends where they disagree with you to some degree or another and want to field some of that. So if you reach through my site, get a hold of me, I'll let Audrey know if you have questions, you want to connect with her, and we'll work that way. You good with that?
Yeah.
You field the questions for people that have them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'd say that we covered it all for now. 3 hours later, you sweating it all? You're worried about all the conversation we're gonna have, or you good?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
I had a good time. I think we should do it again. So appreciate it. God bless everybody, and till next time.